slipped into a sleek black dress for her sister's engagement, heart fluttering with excitement, not just for the celebration, but for finally having a family function. Yin walked out of her room. Her eyes landed on Irene, already glowing like the star of the evening. Yin gasped dramatically, clutching her chest. Bunny, why are you so beautiful? Are you sure you're my real sister and not secretly adopted from some goddess family? Irene laughed, swatting her lightly. Yeah, don't be jealous. It's my engagement. I'm supposed to outshine you today. Yin pouted playfully before throwing her arms around Irene. Fine, fine. But just know, if my brother-in-law mistakes me for the bride, that's not my fault. Keep dreaming, Irene teased, hugging her tighter. Wynn's family entered the dazzling hall, filled only with close relatives and friends, the air filled with greetings and smiles. Staying close to Irene, Yin watched as a tall, striking man walked toward them. It was easy to guess he was her soon-to-be brother-in-law. He embraced Irene warmly, then turned to Wynn with a polite smile. Wynn stepped forward, her own smile graceful yet firm. I'm Yen, Irene's younger sister, she introduced herself. It's really nice to finally meet you. But one thing, Mr. John, you have to take good care of my sister. She's precious to all of us. Wanwoo's lips curved into a soft chuckle, his eyes glinting with sincerity. Of course, you don't need to worry. Making her happy is my first priority. Wynn nodded approvingly, a small smile tugging at her lips. Good, I'll hold you to that. After leaving the couple to their moment, YN saw there were many guards in black suits. YN reminded herself she wasn't alone tonight. She had invited her 2 friends. A quick call from her friends told her they'd be arriving in a few minutes, so she decided to head out to the front entrance to pick them. The corridor was quiet, her heels clicking softly against the floor, until suddenly her heel caught in the edge of the carpet. Wine's balance faltered, her eyes squeezing shut as she braced for the fall and get hurt. But instead of pain, a firm hand slipped around her waist from behind, steadying her effortlessly. Heart racing, she opened her eyes, startled to find herself unharmed. Her gaze darted to the hand still holding her, and in a fluster, she quickly stepped away, turning to face the stranger. Her expression shifted instantly the moment she saw him. Shock flashed in her eyes. She even blinked twice as if doubting reality. You? She murmured, disbelief lacing her voice. The man looked just as surprised, but his lips curved into a soft smile. Without thinking, he stepped forward, his arms ready to pull her in, but one instinctively retreated, putting distance between them. He froze mid-motion, a flicker of disappointment passing over his face, before he quietly reined himself back. His voice came out low, filled with a bittersweet warmth. Long time no see, YN. YN's breath hitched, seeing Jungkook after 3 years. For a heartbeat, the world tilted, and memories rushed back like a wave. But she caught herself, forcing her shock down and straightening her shoulders. Hello, Jungkook, she said firmly, her voice polite yet distant. Jungkook's lips curved into a soft, almost relieved smile. Yin, it's been a long time. How are you? I'm fine, YN replied shortly, meeting his gaze just long enough to be respectful before looking away. Didn't expect to see you here. I could say the same, Jungkook murmured, his tone carrying a warmth she refused to acknowledge. Still, I'm glad. Before she could answer, her phone buzzed loudly in her hand. She glanced down. It was her friends calling. Perfect timing. My friends are waiting for me, she said quickly, seizing the excuse. I should go. Jungkook's lips parted, as if he wanted to stop her, but no words came. All he could do was watch as she turned and walked away, her black dress swaying with each step. His gaze lingered, heavy with longing. All evening tonight, YN had been playing hide-and-seek with Jungkook, except he didn't even know he was part of the game. Every time she spotted him, she slipped away, ducked behind her friends, or pretended to be too busy laughing at something else. Still, she couldn't ignore how easily he blended into her and Wanwoo family circle, especially standing right beside Wanwoo, like they'd known each other forever. Left, and Yeon was now waiting alone in the parking lot for Irene. She wrapped her arms around herself against the chill, scrolling aimlessly through her phone, until a message from Irene buzzed in. I'll go home with Wanwoo, so I'm sending his brother to drop you home. Go with him, it's late. In groaned out loud. Perfect, just perfect, she muttered. She really should have went home with her friends. Now, she was stuck with a stranger. Her thumbs tapped furiously on the screen as she sent back a reply dripping with mock irritation. Wow, honey, abandoning me for your fiancé already? So this is what love does, huh? Next time, just remember, I'm your sister, not luggage to be handed off to random brothers. She hit send with a sigh, shaking her head but unable to stop the small smile tugging at her lips, happy that her sister has someone like Wanwoo, and they look like they made for each other. But suddenly, a car pulled up, and when the driver's door opened, Wan's stomach dropped. Someone stepped out, and it was Jungkook. Her eyes went wide, and for a second she forgot how to breathe. No, this can't be real. What is he doing here? He can't be Wanwoo brother, right? Jungkook froze too, his footsteps faltering as his gaze locked with hers. Disbelief flickered in his eyes before he let out a quiet, almost incredulous laugh. You're Irene's Nuna sister? He asked. Yeon straightened, forcing her expression into something neutral. Looks like it. For a moment, neither spoke, tension curling around them like smoke. Then, Jungkook broke it with a wry smile. Out of all the ways I imagined seeing you again, this wasn't on the list. Wynn's chest tightened, but she forced her voice steady. Don't make this into something dramatic. I'll just take a taxi home. He stepped forward quickly, his tone sharper now. Are you avoiding me? Her jaw clenched, but she lifted her chin. No, I just don't want to make trouble for you. Jungkook's gaze softened for a heartbeat, but he didn't argue. Instead, he walked to his car, pulled open the passenger door, and held it for her. It's late. Get in. In hesitated, but with a sigh she slid inside. Jungkook circled to the driver's seat, settled in, and started the engine. The car eased out of the parking lot, the silence thick between them. As you left, he said quietly, eyes fixed on the road. No goodbye, without telling me? His words struck harder than she knew to admit, leaving her momentarily speechless. Yin let out a bitter little laugh, her gaze fixed on the dark window. There was nothing to tell you, Jungkook. You were busy in your life. You didn't have time for me. So why should I bother telling you about my transfer? Her words came out sharp, deliberate, each one like a blade. For a moment, the only sound in the car was the hum of the engine. Jungkook's grip on the wheel tightened, his knuckles pale against the leather. The flicker of hurt in his eyes was quick, unmistakable, and it sank heavily into the silence. He didn't argue. He didn't defend himself. He just pressed his lips to swallowed the ache in his throat, and drove on calmly. While Wynn kept her eyes firmly on the road ahead, pretending she didn't feel the weight of his silence. The car rolled to a slow stop in front of the churning engine. Soft purr of the engine fading into silence. Wynn reached for the seatbelt, unbuckling quickly, eager to escape the heavy air that had lingered all ride. Just as she pushed the door handle, Jungkook's voice stopped her. "In," she closed, her hand hovering. "I don't want us to be like this," he said, turning to face her. His eyes held a quiet desperation, raw and unguarded. "I missed you so much these past 2 years. I know I did." But before he could finish, Yin cut him off, her tone firm and final. "It's late. I should go." She pushed the door open and stepped out, her heels clicking sharply against the driveway. As she walked away, without looking back, Jungkook sat still, his hands limp on the wheel, watching her retreating figure disappear into the night. The words he wanted to say died in his throat, leaving only silence and the ache of everything left unsaid. As soon as Yan closed the door to her room, she pressed her back against it, her eyes stinging. She refused to let the old pain resurface, yet the burn behind her eyelids betrayed her. With a shaky breath, she sank onto her bed, pulling her knees close. Why did he have to come back into my life? She thought bitterly. I never wanted to see him again. I was doing fine without him. Her chest ached, traitorous and familiar. Every memory she tried to bury clawing its way back. But then why? Why do I still feel the same when he's around? Why does my heart act like that? Wine clenched her fists, shaking her head quickly as if to chase the thoughts away. What the hell, Wine? Get it together, she muttered under her breath. You're fine. You're cool. You don't care. Nodding firmly to herself, she forced the words out again, louder this time, as though repetition could make them true. He is nothing to you. Nothing. Just your sister's brother-in-law, and that's all he'll ever be. But even as she laid back on her pillow, staring up at the ceiling, the echo of his voice, "I missed you," wouldn't leave her. Flashback, 3 years ago. The corridor echoed with laughter and footsteps. A tall boy sprinted ahead while a girl chased after him, her voice carrying down the hallway. Jungkook glanced back, chuckling as he darted out of the faculty building, clearly enjoying her fury. But before Yen could catch him, her foot slipped. She stumbled hard, landing with a hiss as she grabbed her leg. Before he could finish, Yen's hand shot up, gripping his ear and twisting it sharply. Jungkook winced, scrambling to his feet as she yanked him up with her. The next second, Jungkook slipped his arms around her waist, pulling her against him before she could escape. "I'll buy you hundreds if you want. Just don't be mad, my little demon." Yen wriggled in his hold, refusing to let herself melt. "No, leave me, Jungkook." He only tightened his grip slightly, whispering with a smile. "No, never. I can never leave you." Her heart skipped despite herself. When he finally let go, he ruffled her hair playfully. "Yeah." Win slapped his hand away, though a small smile betrayed her annoyance. "Okay," she sighed. "Buy me boba tea and some pastry." Jungkook grinned, giving her a mock bow. "As you command, my lady." The two of them walked toward the canteen together, bickering and laughing, as if the world outside that moment didn't exist. Yan and Jungkook had been inseparable since middle school, their bond only growing stronger with time. Now, sharing the same campus and even the same major, always staying together. Everyone on campus knew their names, often whispering about them as though they were a couple already. Yin never corrected them, because deep down, she wished it were true. She knew what they had wasn't just ordinary friendship. The way Jungkook always saved her a seat in lectures, the way he silently handed her his hoodie when she shivered, the way his eyes softened when they landed on her, and those many small actions spoke louder than words. And the truth was, she had loved him since high school. Now, in their 3rd year, as graduation loomed closer, the thought gnawed at her. What if she never told him? What if he slipped away? Or worse, what if someone else claimed the place by his side? Clutching her notebook to her chest, Yin took a deep breath. She wanted to make it official, to tell him, to stop hiding behind jokes and playful banter. Because if Jungkook's actions had been saying "I love you" all these years, then it was time for her to finally say it out loud. Win had stayed up late the night before, fumbling through recipes and YouTube tutorials just to bake cookies, because yesterday, Jungkook had mentioned craving them. It was silly, maybe, but she wanted to surprise him. By morning, she had carefully wrapped them up and tucked the box into her locker before rushing to class, only to miss the first lecture. When she finally walked into the classroom, her steps faltered. Her usual spot beside Jungkook was already taken. A girl she didn't recognize sat there, and Jungkook was laughing at something she said. Laughing easily, comfortably, the way he always laughed with Wine. A storm of jealousy brewed in N's chest. Jungkook never sat with anyone else, never talked to other girls like that. She clenched her jaw and walked to the back, sliding into the seat beside Jisoo. Jisoo blinked, clearly surprised. "Wow, first time you're sitting with me instead of your Jungle Book?" Yin shot her a glare before her eyes betrayed her, flicking back toward Jungkook. Jisoo smirked, knowing, "Oh, I get it. Honestly, I thought you'd march right up there and tell that girl to move out of your seat. But instead, you're sulking here?" Nin's brows furrowed. "Who even is she?" "That's Mina," Jisoo whispered, leaning closer. "New transfer student. And get this, Jungkook himself asked her to sit beside him." Wine's head snapped toward Jisoo. "What?" Her chest tightened, a sharp sting spreading through her heart. On cue, Jungkook leaned closer to Mina, saying something that made her smile. Jisoo chuckled under her breath. "Wow, jealous Wyan is dangerous." Win scowled at her, but couldn't deny the truth. Her fingers dug into her neck. Every laugh between Jungkook and Mina like a knife. By the time the approach him after composing herself with jealousy. But before she could even take a step, Jungkook stood and left, walking right out with Mina at his side, not even glancing at her once. Eventually, she went searching for him, cookies still in her bag. It took some time, but she finally spotted him outside, sitting on a bench with Mina. She slowly walked there. Jungkook noticed her first, his smile faint. "Oh, why, you came today? I thought you weren't since you were late." Pause, but Yen's eyes were fixed on Mina. "Who is she?" she asked, her voice sharper than intended. Jungkook didn't seem to notice the edge. "She's Mina, the new transfer, my new friend." "Mina, this is Yen, my friend." "Friend? Not best friend." The word hit you harder than you could bear. Mina smiled politely. "Nice to meet you." Then, almost dismissively, she turned back to Jungkook, picking up their earlier conversation. Ink tightened on her. Her heart pounded, each second heavier. Finally, she reached out, grabbing Jungkook's shoulder. "Let's eat lunch. I prepared." But Jungkook gently removed her hand. "I already had lunch with you. Don't worry about me. Go eat." Breath caught. But before Yin could answer, Mina chimed in. "Jungkook, you said you'd give me a tour of the campus?" He nodded easily. "Yeah, I remember. Let's go. I'll show you everything." And just like that, he stood and walked off with Mina, not sparing Yen a second glance. Lion stayed frozen in place, her throat tight, tears threatened to spill. Jungkook had never had lunch with her. Maybe she wasn't his best friend after all. Maybe she was only ever just a friend? No, maybe he is pranking with her. That night, Lion tossed and turned, her phone glowing faintly on the nightstand. Her fingers itched to call Jungkook, to demand an explanation, to ask why he had left her standing there. But her pride was louder than her love. She wouldn't be the first to break. Still, her thoughts refused to be quiet. For many years, Jungkook had been the one to guard her jealously, scowling at any boy who so much as looked her way. Now, for the first time, she understood what he must have felt. The jealousy, the fear of being replaced, it was clawing at her chest, making it hard to breathe, but she never did what did with her, ignoring her for other girl. By morning, Yen had made up her mind. She would arrive early to campus, corner Jungkook, and scold him for ignoring her. And maybe she would finally confess what she'd been holding inside for so long. But Jungkook never showed up that day. She sat through lecture after lecture, waiting for his familiar figure to appear in the doorway. Her frustration grew until finally she caved and messaged him. When there was no reply, she called. "Hello, Jungkook, where are you?" she asked the moment he picked up, her voice sharper than she intended. His reply was firm, almost distant. "I'm busy right now." Before she could respond, a soft voice filtered through the call, a girl's voice, lilting with admiration. "This place is so beautiful, Jungkook." Yin froze. The voice was unfamiliar, but she didn't need to guess twice. Mina. She hadn't been in class either. Her throat tightened. "Jungkook," she started, but the line went dead before she could finish. She sat there, staring at her screen as if it had betrayed her. Jungkook had never spoken to her like that before. Curt, dismissive, as though she were nothing, just a friend. And yet, the days that followed were worse. For the 2 whole weeks, it was the same. Jungkook and Mina together at every turn, their laughter echoing in the hallway, while YN walked alone, and sometimes with Jisoo and Sana. Each time she tried to approach him, he brushed her off with the same excuse. "I'm busy." No warmth, no teasing, no trace of the boy who used to cling to her side always. It was as if he had changed overnight. Each time he passed her without a glance, the question carved deeper into her heart. "Am I that replaceable to you? That you find another girl and forget about me?" That afternoon, YN's hands shook as she dialed Jungkook's number. She had to see him, had to understand. The phone clicked on, and she braced herself. "Hello?" she said tentatively, but only to hear a female voice answer. "You again. Why do you always bother Jungkook?" the voice said coldly. "He has no interest in you. He only sees you as a friend, understand? Don't come between our relationship." Yin froze, her heart hammering. The voice was unmistakable. Mina. From the background, she heard Jungkook's calm voice. "Mina, where's the towel?" "Wait, I'm coming," Mina replied, and then abruptly, the line went dead. The phone slipped from Yin's trembling hands, clattering to the floor. She stumbled, but caught herself on the wall, trying to steady her racing thoughts. Relationship? Are they living together? Really just like that? He forgot about her? Tears pricked her eyes, falling freely as her mind spiraled. He said he would never leave me. Why? Why did you give me false hope, Jungkook? I loved you so much. Why? Why all those times, Jungkook? Jungkook? Was I a fool to think you loved me alone? It was just one-sided love. The night stretched endlessly, filled with quiet sobs. By morning, she was exhausted and physically drained, but determination edged through her grief. She touched up her makeup carefully, hiding red nose and dark circles, and forced herself to go to campus. She needed answers. In the corridor, she finally spotted him and stepped in front of him. "Jungkook, I want to talk with you," she said firmly, trying to keep her voice steady. But before he could respond, Mina appeared from behind and held his arms. "I didn't eat breakfast yet. Let's go to the cafeteria?" she chirped. Jungkook simply nodded and followed Mina without a glance back. YN's chest tightened. She followed, hoping for a moment to speak, but froze at the cafeteria entrance. There he was, laughing, relaxed, smiling with Mina. Her eyes burned. She turned away, unable to watch any longer, and walked home straight. Why should I make myself a fool? She thought bitterly as the tears returned. If he's happy with her, then why chase him? Maybe love just isn't meant for me. Maybe I don't deserve it. That night, she called her father. He had always wanted her to study abroad, and after a long conversation, she agreed to go. Tomorrow, she would leave Korea for her 3rd semester. Only Jisoo and Sana knew of her departure. She didn't tell Jungkook. Now she never wanted to look at him, to feel that aching pull in her chest. She was leaving, and this time, she wouldn't let herself be hurt by love. Flashback ended. Today, Yeon was at a boutique, helping Irene select her wedding gown. Since Irene was a busy doctor, she had entrusted Yeon with choosing the dress. Today, Wonwoo's mother was also supposed to come along, so Yeon had a lot on her plate. She stepped behind the curtain, adjusting a flowing bridal gown, when it suddenly pulled back. Her eyes widened in shock. There, standing in the doorway, was Jungkook. For a good few seconds, he froze, caught off guard by the sight of her. Before he could compose himself, Mrs. John, Jungkook's mother, stepped in. "Oh my Yini, you're looking so gorgeous." Yin's cheeks flushed a deep red, completely unprepared for the compliment. She stammered, "Hello, auntie." Jungkook, on the other side, quickly composed himself. Mrs. John smiled. "I think I should buy my dress too. Jungkook, help YN pick for Irene, yeah?" she said, glancing around. Mrs. John waved off with a staffer, leaving them in the heavy quiet. YN shot Jungkook a hard look. "You don't need to help me," she said, sharp but shaky, turning to the mirror to hide the flush creeping up her neck. He said nothing, just lingered there, his eyes on her in the mirror. Silent, steady. One disappeared behind the curtain again, while Jungkook stayed seated on the couch, elbows on his knees, gaze fixed on the floor. Except, every time she stepped out, his eyes lifted immediately. Each gown she tried seemed to steal his breath, but he stayed silent, watching through the mirror. On her fifth try, she walked out, and Jungkook froze, his throat going dry. I think Irene Luna will like this one," he managed, his voice a little husky. "She'll look beautiful in it." Yin glanced at him briefly, then nodded. "Okay, let's finalize this one," she told the staff, disappearing back inside to change. A few minutes later, she pushed the curtain aside, carrying the dress carefully, but just as she stepped out, she bumped into something hard. "Ow," she winced, looking up. Jungkook's broad chest filled her vision. He smiled faintly. "Careful, you're always running into me, huh?" Wyan stepped back quickly, glaring without meeting his eyes. "What are you even doing here?" "Waiting," Jungkook said smoothly, his hands in his pockets. "You take forever to change," he teased. She glared, but he found her adorable. "Excuse me? It's not easy walking around and changing in 10 layers of lace, Jungkook." He smirked. "You're making the staff sweat more than you. 5 gowns already? At this rate, Irene Nuna will get married when the boutique runs out of fabric." Win narrowed her eyes, lips twitching, then stopped sitting there like a statue and leave. "No one asked you to be my fashion judge." "Too late," he said, leaning closer with a teasing glint. "I've already promoted myself to your personal critic." In scoffed, pushing the dress into his arms. "Fine, then carry this, critic." Jungkook blinked down at the gown in his hands, then chuckled lowly as she brushed past him. "Still bossy, huh? Some things never change." Her cheeks burned, but she tossed her hair and muttered, "And some people never learn when to shut up." A few minutes later, she walked out of the boutique with the gown, slid into her car, and drove off, her heart racing faster than she wanted to admit. The wedding was grand, every corner glittering with lights and music. She sat with Jisoo and Sana, her navy blue dress standing out against the soft pastels around her. She looked calm, arms crossed as she watched Irene glow beside Wonwoo. As the wedding ceremony finished, after some time, then came the bouquet toss. All the unmarried girls squealed, rushing forward, but Wan stayed planted in the corner, rolling her eyes. "As if flowers can decide my future," she muttered. The next second, thud. The bouquet smacked her square in the chest. Startled, she stumbled back with a gasp. Before she could fall, strong hands gripped her waist from behind, steadying her. Her breath hitched. Jungkook. She looked up, finding his face so close, his dark eyes locked on hers. For a heartbeat, the noise of the hall faded, leaving just the two of them. In's cheeks burned, and she quickly pulled away, clutching the bouquet awkwardly. The hall erupted in laughter and claps, while Jungkook's male cousin shouted teasingly, "Looks like our Jungkook already found his bride." Wine's ears turned scarlet as she shoved the bouquet at Jisoo. "Here, you take it," she muttered, glaring at Jungkook before storming off, her heart racing. But Jungkook only smiled faintly, his eyes never leaving her retreating figure. The reception buzzed with chatter, laughter, and clinking glasses. Jungkook, standing with his cousin and friends, scanned the crowd and froze. There she was, Yin, sitting far too close to some man he didn't know, their shoulders brushing. She laughed at something he said, tossing her hair back, her eyes shining. Jungkook's jaw clenched so hard it hurt. He gripped his glass until his knuckles turned white. Minutes later, when Won excused herself and walked toward the washroom, Jungkook followed. As she stepped out, she barely took 2 steps before he grabbed her wrist and pulled her into a quiet, dim corridor. He pressed his arm against the wall, blocking her path. "Why are you doing this to me?" His voice was low, laced with frustration. "Why are you pushing me away, pretending I don't exist?" Wine didn't answer, her eyes darting anywhere but him. "Look at me," Jungkook demanded, caging her in with both arms now. "Say something, please." Wine's hands pushed at his chest, but he didn't budge. The closeness, his scent, his burning gaze, it was too much. Finally, she snapped. "You think I'm ignoring you? You pushed me away first, Jungkook. You were the one who made me feel like I didn't matter, like I was nothing." Her voice shook, pain and anger spilling out. Jungkook opened his mouth, breath heavy, ready to defend himself, but YN cut him off, her eyes glistening. "Why do you even care?" she whispered harshly. "I'm just your friend, right? And right now, you're not even that. You're nothing. Stay away from me, Jungkook." She shoved his chest hard enough to make him step back, and without another glance, she walked away, her heels echoing in the corridor. Jungkook stood frozen, chest heaving, her words stabbing deeper than any wound. His hand slowly dropped from the wall, guilt and heartbreak painted across his face as he whispered to the empty hall. "Nothing?" Yin walked back into the reception hall when her phone buzzed. "Irene, Yin-ee, bring me ice cream please. I can't leave the stage." Yin sighed but went anyway. After a few minutes, she reached the stage. A girl in a striking red bodycon dress stood beside Irene, chatting casually. Yin had to admit, the girl was beautiful, hot even. As soon as Irene saw her, she smiled, taking the cup. "Thank you, Nini." Wine nodded, her eyes still on the girl. Irene noticed. "Oh, she's Hana Jungkook's fiancée. And Hana, this is my little sister." The word fiancée hit like a slap. One's chest tightened. "Fiancé? But what about Mina? Did they break up? Did he always change his girlfriends? Now he'd already engaged?" Mumbling an excuse, she turned to leave. As she stepped down from the stage, she stopped dead. Jungkook was standing right there, waiting. Their eyes locked, unspoken storm swirling between them. Before either could say a word, Hana appeared, slipping her hand into Jungkook's with soft and flirty ease. "Jungkook, sorry I am late," she said sweetly. In's gaze dropped to their hands, her throat burning.